Thank you very much for giving me the chance to represent the European Muslim consumers' activities. Our will as Muslim consumers is to provide the needed efforts to advocate our rights and help governments to understand our respect our religious freedom, and to help the economic operators to meet our needs, in particular with respect to religious halal standards. First of all, it is important to stress that in Europe, both consumers, whether Muslim or not, and animal welfare organizations are concerned about animal welfare. Thus, the various attacks on religious slaughter are not seen as an animal welfare issue by the Muslim community, which strongly believes that religious slaughter of animals is a human. Those who don't want to eat meat should be clear by claiming the end of all the methods of slaughter. In fact, to focus only on the method of the religious minorities and upon it as main trouble, it is actually coming with a scapegoat to answer of the suffering of the animals in our European countries. Animals are suffering within the meat and milk industry because of the intensive breeding and the need of high speeds of slaughter. Yet the religious method of slaughter is the only one that requires to slow down the speed of slaughter. It is in fact the only method that for religious rules forbids doing any intervention to the slaughtered animal unless it is completely lifeless. Unfortunately, this detail escapes the defenders of animals who are not interested to reduce the number of killed animals and the wasting of their meat. Second, there is a real need to clarify the conditions for the use of religious slaughter to make sure that religious animal welfare requirements are respected. Third, the European Commissions and the European governments are very busy to assisting business operators, especially in particular non-Muslim business operators and competent authorities in implementing the European Union legislations on the protections of animals at the time of killing. Their efforts are based first on the current assumptions that the secular methods of slaughter are more human because of many poorly done research, and then they base their efforts.
ضمنت الأخير أنا الترجمة تكون في القطعة خير إن شاء الله.
إذا تترجم
أو تترجمين أنت عربية تكون أحسن لأن أنت اللي كتبتي.
يعني إذا نيدرلانds Arabisch.
Oh, Nederlands. Oh, ja. Maar wat is de zin van Engels als we alleen maar Nederlands en Arabisch hebben? Anders kan ze in het Arabisch en dan vertalen wij in het Nederlands. Toch? Als niemand Engels kan volgen, dan kunnen we beter in het Arabisch en dan naar Nederlands vertalen. Toch?
Wat vinden wij? Bent u Arabisch of Nederlands genoeg? Terjema Muslisme? Is het niet nodig om Nederlands te vertalen? Vindt iedereen?
Is het duidelijk?
De samenvatting, vindt u het in het Arabisch of Nederlands? Nederlands. Oké, dan alleen Nederlands vertalen.
Aan het einde gaan we een samenvatting doen.
I told that the European governments and the European Commissions based their efforts to assisting business operators in implementing the European regulations first in the assumptions that the other methods, the secular methods of slaughter are more human than the religious method, and second, they base their efforts on the current commercial practices. But in practice, there is often a lack of coordination between the halal market business operators and the representatives of the Muslim worship community. Under these conditions, the workers, particularly the Muslim slaughterers, are directly employed by the abattoirs and lacking any religious studies, training, or monitoring of their compliance, which are the requirements of religious slaughter. The results are that they are often in non-compliance with the religious requirements, which at their essence are based on a strong animal welfare ethic. Thus, it should be borne in mind that the European exemptions from the need to stand animals to allow for proper Muslim slaughter of animals according to the religious traditions. It is evident that when this is done without proper religious involvement, the spirit of these exemptions is violated, and the religious consumer also loses the traceability that comes with properly supervised religious slaughter of animals. Today, the many unfounded attacks and the restrictions for Muslim minorities' rights are cause for alarm. As Muslim consumers, we have the feeling that many of the policies of the European governments and of the majority stakeholders in the marketplace are contrary to the development of religious slaughter practices that actually meet the needs and demands of the Muslim consumers. Then it becomes evident in the current legal, political, and economic context that to make the Muslim consumers' voices heard, we need to establish a European-wide network of Muslim consumer organizations like ACIDCOM. In fact, ACIDCOM is the French Associations of Awareness, Information, and Defense of Muslim Consumers. The purpose of the association is first to promote and develop individual and collective actions of Muslim consumers to ensure the recognition and the respect of their rights in all spheres of the social life, including food, education, health, economy, work, culture, and leisure. And secondly, to defend material and moral interests of Muslim consumers in all places, including court. And finally, information and awareness by publishing media campaigns and by providing the needed training and education. With respect to halal matters, ACIDCOM, since its creation in 2006, have conducted many scientific works and have provided consumer, economic actors, and public authorities free consultations documents on its website. Some of these documents are in English, so you can consult them. ACIDCOM have also dealt with many European and French files related to halal and religious slaughter, like DIDREL. DIDREL is an European project to dialogue with religious slaughters. So we followed this file, and actually at the end, the conclusion, the project wasn't a dialogue, but was a monologue between the industrials and the governments and the religious authority. The SEN project for halal food, I don't know if you are aware about the SEN. It was a project to standardize halal by non-Muslim institutions, European institutions. And there is the file of the European consultation welfare on animal welfare, the French project of guidelines of good practices for the slaughter of the cattle, the AFNAR secular halal standards. You know, AFNAR is the French organizations to standardizing matters, and these organizations approved halal standards on last September, and it AFNAR, and it consulted it later on April, alhamdulillah. The French consultation about animal welfare. Furthermore, ACIDCOM have undertook legal actions and regularly corresponds with public authorities, Muslim worship representatives, and Jewish representatives on Shishita. Really, we are very busy to communicate with Muslim worship representatives, to aware them and also to support them to advocate our rights. Inshallah, we can discuss about this after. So since 2006, ACIDCOM have worked very hard and have realized many achievements for Muslim consumers in France, and also we can discuss about this in other countries for Muslims. For example, ACIDCOM was very involved to obtain the cancellation of the both Sen and Afnan works for a secular halal standards. These works aimed to make the halal matters secular matter and not religious matter. This was the risk for us. Also in France, it obtained in a judgment of the State Conseil that religious slaughter must be defined from religious prescriptions and not from the current commercial practices. But our main achievement, the main achievement of ACIDCOM, for me, as president of this association, is the approval by all Muslim halal stakeholders in France of the French Common Religious References of the Halal Charter of the CFCM. You know, in France we have the CFCM is the French Council of Muslim Worship that gathers all Muslim organizations. It was very hard to establish this organization, but alhamdulillah, now things are better. Yeah, this took time, but alhamdulillah, now things are better. And now we have a common halal references for all the French Muslims. You know, in France there's more Muslims than here, so I think inshallah if we did, so you can do inshallah. In 2014, ACIDCOM teamed up with many Muslim consumers groups in the Europe and the world to create World Muslim Consumer Organizations. The new organization has successfully corresponded with international organizations like the Codex. It's technical words, but there are really very important files about halal with these organizations like Codex. But also we corresponded with the Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, Turkey, and many other Muslim countries authorities. World Muslim Consumer has already Sister Mariam as member in the Netherlands. She told me she's currently busy to set up a committee with mosques and organizations in the Netherlands to defend, non-stand, and help doing research. And I think it is good to work together, inshallah. My experience in France showed that when consumers support religious representatives, as consumers we don't represent worship. We represent our needs, our religious beliefs, but we don't represent the worship. The representation of worship is the duty of mosques. And we try to give them computations, information, studies to help them to defend, to advocate our rights. By my experience in France, when consumers support religious representatives who accept to defend their rights, then the common efforts show positive results. Alhamdulillah, now we are getting good results. Finally, I will speak about HCB because it's very important. Until now, HCB took the leader to control halal, but I believe that HCB, as they will make their best to meet the Muslim countries. It's halal control bodies. Halal control organization. As they will make their best to meet the Muslim countries' requirements to be accredited. Now to sell to Muslim countries, HCBs need accreditations, and they will do their best to get this accreditation to meet standards and requirements. And now it is urgent that the HCBs take aware that they must be also accredited to certify halal products for the European Muslims. We also, as European Muslims, we would like good HCBs that are accredited by the Muslim community. For that, HCBs should cooperate for the creation of halal accreditation organization in each European country. We need to think about this. We need Muslim consumers everywhere. Now we have in France, we have some Muslim groups like with Sister Mariam, with there are other groups. But what I advise is to get Muslim consumers based in the European legal version of such organization. It's very important. And to work together, Muslim consumers and worship organization have to work really together, and HCBs need to cooperate. It's very important, and to accept to work under the control of Muslim worship organization. Inshallah. Thank you.